Brian Elsasser is asking to participate via teleconference. Is there a motion to allow Sharon, second by Dr. Blair? Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? You're on, Brian.
Thank you.
Can you hear okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Next order of business is the November 29th, 2021 minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Watkins, Ms. Allison, any questions, comments, or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Reports, unless there's any questions or comments for staff, we'll just move to receive and file those. Seeing none. So we have 7 zoning cases, 3 Airbnbs, a C2 to an R1, and some wind. So just to have everybody on the board knows, we do have some of the petitioners here. Rules that apply are you can only speak if you had spoken at the hearing and cannot introduce any new facts. I've spoken to them all. We are going to have a presentation for the last 3, a quick PowerPoint over the project, and all petitioners are willing to answer any questions if there are any questions in regards to the cases. So, first case is ZBA 2021-000039, petition of David J. Russell and Kim D. Bryan Russell. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Ms. Allison, Ms. Blair, Kathy.
This is a special use request to allow for overnight accommodations in the R2 medium density residential district, provided that they meet the requirements set forth in section 7(8) of our ordinance called overnight accommodations, and that no more than 5 rooms or suites of rooms are rented, and rooms are not rented for a period of more than 14 days. The petitioner proposes to offer an entire 1,416 square feet, 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling for rent on a short-term basis through the Airbnb and VRBO websites. There is also a detached garage on the property. The subject parcel is located on Riverview Road in Medina Township.
Brian Elsesser.
Left.
There are 2 consents and 0 objections on file. The subject parcels and all surrounding parcels are zoned R2 medium density residential. To the north are 5 vacant residential lots. There are single-family dwellings to the west and the east, and the Illinois River lies to the south of the parcel. The entire house will be rented, and the use of the property will be similar to that of a single-family dwelling. The petitioner's request is consistent with the surrounding area, as single-family dwellings are the principal land use along North Riverview Road. The petitioner states that no parties or events are allowed, and check-in time is between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., with checkout at 10 a.m. Development standards for all overnight accommodations are outlined in section 27(8) of the UDO. This definition includes short-term rentals. The ordinance does require that the operator keep a log identifying the name, address, and phone number of all guests, and that overnight accommodations not begin until a certificate of occupancy has been issued by the zoning administrator. The ordinance also requires that no more than 4 automobiles may be parked accessory to a single-family dwelling for a period of more than 72 continuous hours. Riverview Road is a township road. The Institute of Transportation Engineer Trip Generation Report shows a range of 4.81 to 19.39 trips on a weekday per single-family dwelling unit. The report also cites an average of 2.65 trips per resident on a weekday. The maximum number of 7 property guests would generate around 18.55 trips if each guest came in their own vehicle. This number of vehicle trips is consistent with observed rates for single-family dwellings. In addition, residential care homes are also a permitted use in this zoning district. A residential care home with a similar 7 residents would generate approximately 28.98 trips per weekday. The proposed use would generate less vehicle trips than other permitted uses in this zoning district. No comments were received from the Medina Township Road Commissioner. No conditions were found that would cause the Peoria City County Health Department to recommend denial. The Medina Township Planning Commission has recommended approval. The petitioner's request is consistent with our environmental corridor land use designation in the Peoria County land use map. The petitioner's request is also consistent with the Peoria County growth strategies of generating economic opportunity and stability. Staff recommended approval with the 5 restrictions in your agenda briefing. 3 of those restrictions are actually ordinance requirements. The zoning board recommended approval with those same restrictions unanimously with a vote of 6-0.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Next is case ZBA-2021-00040, petition of Briscoe Financial LLC. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Mr. Watkins, Ms. Williams. Kathy?
This is another special use request for a short-term rental overnight accommodation. The petitioner proposes to offer an entire 2,076 square foot, 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling with attached garage for rent on a short-term basis through the Airbnb and VRBO websites. This parcel is located on North River Beach Drive in Chillicothe Township. There are two consents on file and 1 objection. The objector stated that this short-term rental has been managed well, but he has a concern with density potential. The consenter who spoke stated that she has lived next to this property for 2 years and has had no problems. The subject parcels and all surrounding parcels are again zoned R2 medium density residential. To the northwest and southwest of the parcel are single-family dwellings, and to the east is the Illinois River. The entire house will be rented, and the use will be similar to that of a single-family dwelling and consistent with the surrounding area. The listing states on Airbnb states that no parties or events are allowed, and guests are limited to the number stated at time of booking. The listing also states that outdoor cameras are located by all exit doors in the garage, but no recording or surveillance takes place while guests are at the property. Again, the ordinance does require that the log identifying the name, address, and phone number of all the guests. It also has the requirements regarding 4 automobiles. River Beach Road is a township road. Again, the proposed use is consistent with the generated vehicles of other permitted uses in this zoning district. There were no comments received from the Chillicothe Township Road Commissioner. The Health Department had no objections. This petitioner's request is consistent again with the county's land use map and designation of environmental corridor. It's also consistent with the Peoria County growth strategies. Staff recommended approval with the 5 restrictions in your agenda brief, and the zoning board recommended approval unanimously with those same restrictions.
Any questions or comments? Dr. Blair.
I meant to ask this on the first one. When we're voting with these restrictions that have been added?
Correct. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it unanimously. Next is the ZBA case 2021-00041, petition of Holloway Holdings LLC. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Dr. Blair, Ms. Williams. Kathy?
This is yet another overnight accommodation short-term rental special use request. In this case, the petitioner proposes to offer an entire 816 square feet, 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling with attached garage for rent on the short-term basis through Airbnb and VRBO websites. This parcel is located on Portage Street in Chillicothe Township. There are 0 consents and 0 objections on file. The subject parcel and all surrounding parcels are zoned R2 medium density residential. Single-family dwellings are adjacent in all directions. The Illinois River is located approximately 155 feet to the east of the subject parcel. The entire house will be rented, and the use of the property will be similar to that of a single-family dwelling and consistent with the area. Again, this ordinance requires that a log be kept identifying the name, address, and phone number of all the guests, and the ordinance has the requirements for automobiles parked accessory to a single-family dwelling. Portage Street is a township road. There were no comments received from the Chillicothe Township Road Commissioner. No conditions were found to recommend denial by the Health Department. This request is consistent with our Peoria County land use map and designation of environmental corridor. It's consistent with the Peoria County growth strategies. Staff recommended approval with the 5 restrictions in your agenda brief, and the zoning board recommended approval with those same restrictions unanimously.
Any questions or comments for Kathy? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Next is ZBA case 2021-00042, petition of Randy F. Coors. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Mr. Watkins, Ms. Blair. Kathy?
This is a rezoning request from C1 neighborhood commercial to R2 medium density residential to allow for 2 commercially zoned parcels to be used residentially. The parcels are located on North Route 29 in Medina Township. This is just north of Caterpillar at the old Club 29 location. There are no consents and no objections on file. The Coors purchased these 2 parcels and demolished the old Club 29 building in 2007. The subject property to the north has a residential dwelling, which the petitioners are currently using for storage. The other parcel is now vacant. The petitioner would like to bring the existing residential property into compliance with the zoning ordinance and rezone the other parcel so that it can be sold as a residential parcel. All surrounding parcels are zoned R2 medium density residential. To the north, west, and south are single-family dwellings, and the Illinois River is located to the south and east. The rezoning would be consistent with the area. The parcels do have access to public water. The Peoria County City County Health Department had no objections. No new access points are proposed at this time. The petitioner's request should have minimal impact on the local traffic pattern. Route 29 is a straight road, and there were no comments from IDOT. The request is consistent with our land use map designation of rural, which allows for residential development. The request is also consistent with our Peoria County growth strategy by bringing an existing residential use into conformance and allowing for further residential development. Staff recommended approval, and the zoning board also recommended approval unanimously.
Any questions or comments for Kathy? Mr. Coors is here also too. Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Next is the ZBA case. I'll put the motion on the floor before we start the PowerPoint. The next 3 are tied together. ZBA case 2021-00043, petition of Four Creeks LLC. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Dr. Blair, Ms. Allison. Kathy? Kyle Berry, Kyle Berry, attorney representing the developer here. Ms. O'Brien with the developer is here.
Good afternoon, Chairman Dillon, committee, and staff. Thank you for considering our permit application for 3 Met Towers. My name is Kelly O'Brien. I'm a director of project development for ConnectGen and the lead developer for the proposed Four Creeks project. I have a brief presentation to give you a little information on Met Towers, and to be respectful of everyone's time, this presentation will cover all 3 of the permit applications because the proposed equipment is the same for all 3. So Four Creeks LLC, the permit applicant, is a wholly owned subsidiary of ConnectGen. ConnectGen is an independent renewable energy developer developing wind, solar, and storage projects across the U.S. ConnectGen is backed by Quantum Energy Partners, which is a leading provider of private equity capital to the global energy market. Next slide. So as noted, we have 3 permit applications for temporary meteorological towers. I'll refer to them as Met Towers because it's a little easier to say. And per section 5.14.3 of the Peoria County Ordinance, meteorological towers are a permitted use under the following conditions. A temporary use permit shall be issued for a period of not more than 3 years and shall not be extended without a variance. Meteorological towers are permitted with a special use permit on A1, A2, I1, and I2 zoning districts. Meteorological tower heights must comply with all FAA regulations. Setbacks from public roads and property lines should be established by the underlying zoning district. And for Met Towers over 100 feet in height, orange safety balls shall be installed on all guy wires. So you'll see in this presentation that we intend to meet all of those conditions. So the location that we've proposed is in northwest Peoria County, which is primarily a rural agricultural part of the county. All three of the parcels are zoned A1, meeting the ordinance requirements. We have agreements in place with all three of the landowners, and we have worked with the landowners to locate the Met Towers in portions of the parcels that will minimize the amount of land taken out of production, which will be approximately 2.5 acres per Met Tower. The towers that we're proposing to install are approximately 195 feet in height, so they are under any requirements for FAA approval. They will be painted with alternating bands of orange and white to increase the visibility for air traffic. They do not require a foundation, but rather the base of the tower is secured to a metal base plate that is anchored into the ground and is supported by a system of guy wires that extend in 4 directions from the tower itself. Those are anchored approximately 164 feet from the base of the tower. The guy wires are secured using screw-in anchors with a depth of approximately 3 to 5 feet, and marker balls and bird diverters will be installed along the guy wires to minimize the potential for avian collisions. The Met Tower base and guy wire anchors will be fenced to prevent interactions with livestock or wildlife, and once installed, these towers operate automatically and maintenance is minimal. So I know these pictures are a little bit hard to see, but in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the base of a tower. You can see that metal base plate at the bottom that the tower is anchored, where the tower is anchored into the ground. You can also see the small solar panel that's there, and that provides power to the tower, so the tower will not require any new utilities in order to operate. The tower is in the diagram. Sorry, if you could zoom out just a little bit, Andrew. The diagram, the tower would be the center, that red point in the center there, with the guy wires extending out in 4 directions as shown in the diagram. And in the upper left-hand corner, you can see a picture of where the guy wires are anchored into the ground and then fenced. Sorry, in the previous picture with the Met Tower itself, this one has not yet been fenced, but it will be fenced similar to what you see here with the guy wires. And then additionally, in the bottom right-hand or left-hand corner, there is a picture of the winch that is used to actually tilt the tower up during installation. The next slide shows a picture of a fully installed Met Tower. Again, a little hard to see. Once you get back far enough to get the entire Met Tower into a picture, things become relatively small, but you can see the orange and white painting on the tower itself, the orange marker balls that are on the guy wires. Fencing, this is fenced. The guy wires are fenced if you look down along the area around the land, as well as the Met Tower itself. And probably the hardest thing to see, but there are arms coming out from the tower at various heights where the instrumentation is actually installed on the tower. So that instrumentation, there are 2 types of instrumentation that are installed on the tower. There's anemometers and wind vanes. For the anemometers, there are 6 total, 2 at each of the following heights, approximately 65 feet, 130 feet, and 196 feet. These are pretty small instruments. They're about 11.5 inches tall and about 9.5 inches in diameter. And those cups that you see catch the wind and spin, which is how we record wind speeds. Then there are 2 wind vanes on the towers, one at approximately 65 feet and the other one at approximately 187 feet. These are also quite small, with a length of about 8.3 inches and a height of about 4.4 inches, and these work as a typical wind vane and point into the direction of the wind. Those are the only moving parts of the Met Tower itself. To the installation? Yes, yeah, sorry, as Kyle rightfully pointed out, these don't generate noise. It's really only during the installation that there's any noise involved. The actual installation of the Met Towers is pretty straightforward. There'll be an installation crew which will access the parcels in pickup trucks with trailers using the existing roads and landowner approved access points. The installation activities include installation of the tower base plate, guy wires, and anchors, assembly of the tower, attachment of the guy wires, tilt up of the tower, and then the fencing installed around the base of the tower and the guy wire anchors, and then the final inspection. This takes approximately 2 days, weather permitting, assuming they don't run into any problems. It's usually 2 pickup trucks and 2 trailers of equipment totaling less than 26,000 pounds, and doesn't require any new roads, new road improvements, or right-of-way, and no traffic impacts given the very limited number of trucks and crew that will be involved. During operation and maintenance, these Met Towers are designed to operate year-round in all conditions. Data is collected from these devices and monitored remotely, so it's sent via a cell network, and the data is collected by off-site technicians. And maintenance, again, is very limited. Maybe 1 to 2 times a year will maintenance crews need to visit the tower. The next couple of slides basically just show enhanced pictures of the parcels. They are not to scale, but they are to give an idea of the parcel and the location of the Met Towers within each parcel. And I am happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Ms. Blair?
So you're gathering meteorological data. What do you plan to do with that data?
That meteorological data will be assessed for the viability eventually of a wind project proposed for the area. It'll be part of numerous studies and data that will be collected over a 3 to 5 year period.
Other questions for Ms. O'Brien or Mr. Berry? Well, thank you for the presentation. I do appreciate your time today and the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you.
We'll have Kathy finish off and they'll both be present if anything pops in your head over the next 3 cases.
So Ms. O'Brien went over quite a bit that is in your agenda brief, but as she mentioned, this is to install a temporary
Brian
Met tower
Elsesser.
Left.
to record and measure wind data for up to 3 years. The data will be in regard to speed, wind direction, ground level, relative humidity, and air temperature, and is transmitted by a cellular link. This temporary use permit that would result from the approval of this special use is good for not more than 3 years. If they have a need to record for a longer period, they would need to come back to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance to extend the special use permit. There were no consents or objections on file. This case number 43 is located on a parcel at the corner of
Brian
Scotland Prairie
Elsesser.
Road and
Joined.
Route 78 in Millbrook Township. All surrounding parcels are zoned A1 agricultural preservation. This parcel does consist of crop ground. There's a residential use at the northwest corner of the subject parcel, and all other surrounding land uses are agricultural. This request does meet all of our setback requirements and the requirements for high visibility aviation orange markings on the guy wires. The overall LISA score on this property was a medium rating for agricultural protection. Although 2.5 acres of cropland will be taken out of production, it could be used for something such as pumpkins, which doesn't require higher machinery to harvest. The Health Department had no objections. As Ms. O'Brien mentioned, this installation should only take 1 day and is completed with pickups and trailers. The Millbrook Township Road Commissioner's engineer, however, testified that they would require a right-of-way permit prior to construction of the tower. The request is consistent with the county's land use plan environmental stewardship theme of supporting renewable energy resources. The zoning board and staff have recommended approval of the ZBA unanimously.
And I'll point out that that was Pat Myers, as Millbrook's engineer. This is a trailer going across with a truck across an access point. This is not interfering necessarily with right of way. And I know he was told during the meeting that that was not the time to ask for that. So petitioner is aware of the situation and the communication that needs to be had. So it's a little extra on that, if you were wondering. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimously approved. Next is ZBA 2021-000044, petition of Four Creeks LLC. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Mr. Watkins, Ms. Williams, Kathy.
This is another special use to install a temp met tower to record and measure wind data for up to 3 years. This parcel is located on North Maher Road in Princeville Township. There are 0 consents and 3 objections on file. 2 objectors spoke at the ZBA hearing, stating that they objected to the met towers because they may lead to a future wind farm for which they would have an objection. Any future wind farm, however, would require separate special use approval by the county board. Again, all surrounding parcels are zoned A1 Ag Preservation. To the northeast and south are agricultural uses. To the west of the subject parcel are 2 residences, the residences of the 2 people that did object. Again, this is for a temporary use for up to 3 years. A variance would be needed to extend beyond that time. The overall LISA score here was also a medium rating for agricultural protection. Again, 2.5 acres would be taken out of production. The health department had no objections.
Ryan Elsesser.
No new access points are required. Millbrook Township, this is in Princeville Township, but the Highway Department has let us know that Millbrook Township has this area of road as under their jurisdiction, and they have stated that a right-of-way permit will be required. This is consistent with our Peoria County Land Use Plan. Staff recommended approval, and the zoning board also recommended approval unanimously.
Questions or comments?
Brian Elsesser.
Joined.
Brian, any questions?
No, I've been, Kelly's been talking to me. We've been talking pretty regularly for the last 2 years, so she kind of keeps me up to date.
Thanks, Brian. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Unanimously passes. Last case, ZBA 2021-000045, petition of Four Creeks LLC. Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Ms. Allison, Ms. Williams, Kathy.
Right, this is our last request today for a temporary meteorological tower. There are no consents and no objections on file for this case. The parcel is located on West Forney Road and North Brimfield Road in Brimfield Township. All parcels adjacent are zoned A1 Ag Preservation and are in agricultural use. The closest residence to the proposed location is approximately a half a mile to the northeast. The LISA score again was a medium rating for protection. The Peoria Health Department had no recommendations for denial. The subject property is located along North Brimfield Road, which is a secondary county highway, and West Forney Road, which is a township road. The Highway Department commented that oversized, overweight permits would be required if needed. There were no comments from the Brimfield Township Road Commissioner. No new access points are needed. The request is consistent with our land use plan. Staff has recommended approval, and zoning board also recommended approval unanimously.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next is review executive session minutes.
Mr. Chairman, it remains a recommendation of the state's attorney's office that all previously held minutes continue to be held because the need for confidentiality does still exist, and to destroy executive session audio recordings that are more than 2 years old unless they relate to pending litigation.
Motion for the record. Approve the state's attorney's advice. Ms. Williams, Ms. Allison. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next, miscellaneous. Any questions? Comments? Thank you. That was a lot to get through in about half hour for considering we started late. So very much appreciated, and meeting adjourned. Thank you.